All right, it is 2 o'clock, so we'll begin. Good afternoon and welcome to the Arizona Department of Water Resources. Today's meeting is the second public meeting as a part of the ADAWS informal rulemaking process. We'll begin with introductions. So my name is Lainey Meeker. I'm the program supervisor with the department, and I'm joined here today with Carol Ward, assistant director, and Emily Petrick, deputy counsel for the department. So the purpose of today's meeting is to allow stakeholders to provide comments and questions on the ADAWS draft rules. On April 9th, 2024, ADWR published and made available the ADAWS draft rules. ADWR presented on the ADAWS draft rules on April 22nd, 2024, and will not be presenting on the draft rules again today. The draft rules and meeting recordings are available on ADWR's website. ADWR had a meeting with Arizona Water Co. on April 30th, 2024 to discuss the ADAWS draft rules possibly applying in the Pinal AMA, and discussions with Pinal stakeholders will continue throughout this informal process as well. ADWR requests that comments and questions not provided today be submitted no later than May 3rd, 2024 at 5:00 p.m. So again, today's meeting is not a formal public hearing. This meeting is being broadcast via webinar and is being recorded. The recording will be made available online at the address on the screen. Please keep your phone or audio connection on mute throughout. To ensure that everyone who wishes to have the opportunity to ask a question or make a comment, ADWR may limit time for each speaker. Larger groups wishing to present the same message are encouraged to designate a single representative. If you wish to provide comments or questions, please fill out a speaker card located at the entrance and return it to ADWR staff. Online attendees should complete the questionnaire at the link provided in the chat. Please come to the microphone at the podium up front to ask your question. This allows those on the webinar to hear and participate fully. We will call people up in order that we receive cards, alternating between those in person and those online. And we'll now call up our first speaker. Sharon, can you actually provide that to me really quickly? Oh, thank you, Laura.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Laura Grignano. I'm the manager of the Central Arizona Groundwater. Oh, sorry. Got it. So good afternoon. For the record, my name is Laura Grignano. I am the manager of the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District, or CAGRD. We appreciate the opportunity to comment on the draft ADAWS rules during this informal portion of the rulemaking process. CAWCD staff have analyzed the impacts of the draft ADAWS rules from a policy and operational perspective and have identified the following impacts on the CAGRD. By intent of the ADAWS rules, these changes shift a significant amount of CAGRD's replenishment obligation from current member lands to new member service areas. A shift to member service areas would increase the amount of groundwater subject to the assured water supply rules and would result or could result in higher CAGRD replenishment obligations. The pace of growth in ADAWS member service areas will have a large impact on CAGRD reliance, and the specific terms of the member service area agreements between CAWCD and the ADAWS water providers will also strongly affect the timing of the obligation for those member service areas. Any changes to the proposed rules related to the groundwater physical availability calculation, the groundwater allowance calculation, or the percentage of new alternative supplies required to reduce current groundwater pumping will require new analysis by CAWCD staff to determine the impacts on the CAGRD. Minimizing the potential risks to CAGRD's operations and finances will be critical as the rulemaking process progresses. During this legislative session, CAGRD worked closely with entities that may qualify for an ADAWS to give the water provider ample time to absorb the reporting and assessments of existing memberland obligations. Any future CAGRD member service area agreements with ADAWS applicants must ensure continued financial viability for the CAGRD. And thank you again for the opportunity to provide public comment, and we plan to submit these comments in writing to the docket supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. We appreciate it.
We'd like to see if Jake Lunderking online is available to ask his question.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Jake, go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. First, I want to say thank you for opening up these rules and working on them. I think it's important to continue to work on good water management. And secondly, I'd like to thank everybody for allowing us the opportunity to speak about these draft rules in this informal process.
Jake,
Yes.
This is Carol. I'm sorry. It's difficult to hear you. Actually, you started out somewhat strong and then really faded.
Is this any better?
We're not hearing you.
Can you hear me any better? No?
Unfortunately, no. Hold on a second and let me check with our IT. Sharon, Shauna, do we know if is this just on his end? Okay, thank you. Jake, I'm sorry, maybe if you called in again? Okay, excellent. All right, maybe we can move on to another one while we're waiting for Jake to come on.
I'm not seeing any more speaker cards filled out. Is there anybody else that would like to speak and can fill out a card at the back? No? Then we'll give Jake just a moment so he may ask his question when he returns online. Jake, are you back with us? Okay, it looks like he's trying to get through on the phone. We'll give him just another moment. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Jake, unfortunately, we can't hear you in the room, although we understand that you could be heard online.
Well, that's a bummer.
You're very faint in the room. Let me.
Is this any better? Test, test.
Ooh, there you are. We got you now, Jake. Thank you for your patience. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, great, great. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to comment. I appreciate that ADWR is taking up these rulemaking and progressing water resource management. I think that's a good thing. And again, I think it's really great that you guys are providing this informal comment process. So thank you very much. You know, some of the things that we ask ourselves are just right along those lines. What are good water management? What's good for our customers? Something we always have to ask, and what's good for us as a utility. For us in the Phoenix AMA at Global Water Resources, we have a utility with a pending designation application for about 15 years. And about 6 years ago or so, we were negotiating a decision and order with the Department of Water Resources, at which time the department said, you know, we're going to look into the model. We patiently waited about 5 years for that model, and then it was closed in the Hassayampa Basin. And now we're looking at these draft rules and how they may provide some relief to this process we've been undergoing for many, many years. We've been working through using our cap water out there in our Tonopah system, as well as we have a pending recharge application before the department. We do believe a designation of assured water supply would be the best path forward for our utility, just like many others do. We have a designation of assured water supply for one system in Pinal, and also feel that it would be important to look for designations for our other systems in Pinal as well. I'm very happy to hear, and one of my questions was going to be around, will the department take up rulemaking in Pinal? And I was very happy to hear you answer that at the beginning of this, in describing your meeting about just that with Arizona Water Company. With that, I would just like to say I want to provide some detailed comments and questions into the docket about the Phoenix AMA draft rules and how we think that some small changes could help us become a ADAWS provider through this ADAWS proposed rule. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. We appreciate it. Again, we appreciate your patience with the IT issues.
Doug Dunham, are you available online to provide your comments or questions?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, Doug. Go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Jake, for blazing the trail on getting audio things working. This is Doug Dunham with EPCOR Water. Again, wanted to thank the department for taking questions and comments on the proposed rules. As I mentioned last time, there's been a lot of work with this, and look forward to continuing working with the department on bringing forward, which I think is a much needed tweak to the assured water supply rules. With that being said, I had alluded to last meeting our concerns regarding the physical availability rule proposal, specifically with the reduction in availability over time associated with bringing in alternate water supplies. This is very concerning to not only EPCOR, but I know several other utilities out there. It's rather unprecedented to remove physical availability once it's been determined to be in place. From a planning perspective, this is highly problematic. And I would ask the department to work with us on crafting an alternative approach to try to get to what I perceived as a shared goal of long-term groundwater management within the Phoenix AMA. I have some proposals I will be submitting in writing and look forward to discussing those with the department. It's going to be very difficult for utilities, again, either going through their respective boards of oversight to justify some of these increased costs. And if it is as steep of a curve as I expect it to be, I'm not sure that we're going to be successful in getting a lot of utilities over the line. And that would be a shame. Just the mere act of getting a utility designated, you're making a large portion of what is currently mined groundwater use go away. And that is a huge, huge benefit. And I encourage the department not to lose sight of that fact. With rough numbers that we have crunched here at EPCOR, that represents about 60% of our overall groundwater use at the moment. And that's a permanent reduction. That stops further future groundwater mining. So that needs to be taken into account as a huge benefit. And I would ask the department to continue to work with us in finding a more palatable way to meet our shared goals. But thank you for the time to comment today.
I appreciate the comments, Doug. Thank you.
Would anybody else at this time like to submit a speaker card that hasn't already done so? If not, then that concludes our list of speakers for today. As a reminder, ADWR will be accepting additional written comments not presented today until May 3rd at 5:00 p.m. The department would like to thank all stakeholders who attended today, both in person and online, for their engagement and valuable feedback throughout this process. The department will be reviewing all comments and questions, and additional information on the next steps in this informal process will be provided soon. Thank you again for your time, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.